Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Geek Authority Show. I'm your host, Lorenzo Marchessi, and this is the show where I actually get to talk to amazing, talented, wonderful people, be they actors, producers, writers, cosplayers, directors, publicists, you name it, I've talked to them. And today I have a very special guest, somebody I've known for quite a while. She's beautiful, she's talented, she's an amazing writer. You should see the stuff she directs. Denise Devin, thank you so much for coming.
Hey, Lorenzo, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And I'm not kidding when I say you've done some amazing stuff. My favorites, as you know, that you've done, of course, is the Shakespeare. And I've said this to you a million times. Just when you think you've seen every version of Hamlet, she knocks it out of the park. Or any other Shakespeare play, Midsummer Night's Dream, all this stuff. They're fun, they're capsulized, but they're written in a style that's very modern, very fun, and so on and so forth. So tell us about you. Have you always been an actress or director or involved with theater?
Oh, pretty much, I guess. Yeah. I started as a dancer, actually,
Really?
which a lot of people don't know.
Where at? Where were you from?
I was born in Canada, and I studied and trained there. I went to the National Ballet School of Canada at the end. I studied in Vancouver at the Vancouver Ballet School. I then became a professional show dancer. I did musicals. I love musicals. I think that's why I love Shakespeare, because there's so much music in the language, and I love musicals. I just adore them. I love watching them. I loved being in them. I did all the...
Can you remember the first one you were involved with?
The first musical might have been Pajama Game, a remake of Pajama Game in Vancouver at a place called Theater Under the Stars. And I was, just a dancer. I think I had a small part, and it was great. I loved it. Yeah, I loved it.
When did you get that bug that you knew exactly this is what you want to do? Because like I did in the intro, you write, you rewrite, you adapt, you do the whole thing.
I think I've always just done it, I remember being 6 and doing a little performance at school or something. Wow. And that was it. I don't know. I just, I've never really done much else. I've always been involved in, I've done other things in my life, but I'm always in a play. I'm always writing something. I'm always directing something. I'm always involved somehow.
Wow.
And I've always been that way. Yeah.
When did you come to America? And did you
come
right
many years ago. 35 years ago, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you started when you were 5. Okay. So,
yeah.
So did you come to LA right away, or did you go to New York?
No, I was in New York, and I trained in, I did, I sort of, I guess, transitioned into being an actress. And I went to the Neighborhood Playhouse School of the Theater there. And I also studied voice and classical speech privately with a really great teacher, and spent a few years in New York, and then came to LA.
Okay. Have you done commercial acting, theater, TV? Film?
Some, very little, but some. I was in a cable series way back when in 91, before it was like cable series. So I did a show called Big Brother Jake. I was a series regular for their first season. I played a social worker. And I guess I was sort of the bad guy with a soft side, kind of. So that's what kind of brought me to LA, because that stuff doesn't sell really in New York. I've done some soaps. We used to have a guy around Zombie Joe's Underground Theater Group, Chris Reiner, and his wife was part of the casting crew at One Life to Live. Days of Our Lives. And I did a whole bunch of principal parts, under 5s, whenever they needed someone reliable and really quick, there I was.
Wow. So did you do theater in the sense of, obviously you did these soap operas and things like that. So theater was always an active part of it. When did you hook up with Zombie Joe's Theater? By the way, we did an interview with him, so you want to catch that interview too.
Yeah, I saw it. I've been with Zombie now. He's my partner, as you know, and I've been with him for 20 years, and I've been involved with Zombie Joe's Underground for 20 years. We met in May, and in June we took a look at the place on Lancashire in
North Hollywood, California.
in year 2000, and he rented it, and in August we opened our first show.
Wow. And how would you describe the productions that are done at Zombie Joe's? Very unique.
Unique. Primarily, if you include me in that mix, I mean,
Absolutely.
Zombie has his own style. If you include me in that mix, we do everything. We've done musicals. We don't do musicals often because the space is small, and also because LA is not a dance town. It's really hard to find trained dancers, and the ones that are trained are usually working, like not now, of course, but on the cruise ships, or, dancers have a short shelf life, so to speak. So, and if they're any good at all, they're out in the cruise ships, or they're doing, the limited TV shows or the bigger musical houses. So it's really hard to find trained dancers, but we have done some musicals. We have a lot of singers in the group, actually. I don't know if you know that.
No.
Yeah, we have like Jana Weimer, one of our directors for the Urban Death, is a great singer. I sing. Janika Patella, actress that is a singer. We have a lot of singers in the group. So I've over the years tried to use that talent. So we do the gamut. I do the Shakespeares, the more traditional like stuff.
Yay. Those are my favorite.
I love it. I adore it. I just
And just to give the audience an idea, was it A Midsummer Night's Dream? The opening of it was like done in fast forward and like kind of snippets, and I swear I was tearing up. It was so funny.
Oh, that might have been Much Ado About Nothing.
Much Ado About Nothing.
Did a whole, yeah.
Oh, and you brought music into it. It was like,
yeah.
It was an amazing experience. So when this world comes back to whatever it's coming back to, and you go see live theater here in Los Angeles, specifically the Valley, Zombie Joe's has some amazing productions. The other side of it, how much involved are you with the scary stuff? Because
I used to be.
I've even seen you act in some of them.
Yeah. I used to be really involved. So I was original cast of Urban Death, and myself and Jana, the co-director of Urban Death, bugged him for years to make it a recurring theme. And I was in the first 10 years, every show, every Urban Death
As an
actress.
And
when I
makeup is amazing. You guys do.
Oh yeah, well, we love it. It's
very gothic.
It's gothic. Yep, and it's so much fun to perform. I mean, it is a major blast to perform. When the black light comes to scare people.
When was the first Urban Death?
I think it was 2003, but it might have been 2005, maybe 2005.
Okay. And it's every year. Up until this year, the 2020. We'll remember this year forever. That is really amazing. What do you find most interesting in terms of the choices you make? How do you choose what Shakespeare to do? And then you've done some. I've seen you up in the booth. You've done some technical direction. You've done some. You're definitely there for all the vocal stuff. So. How do you choose your projects?
I don't really know. The first few I did all the popular ones because they were popular to me too. I mean, they're popular for a reason. And I wasn't, I choose for a number. First of all, I have to have an attraction to the play. So if I have to have an attraction to the story, but just as important, I'll be honest, maybe this is a secret I shouldn't reveal, but if I have someone around the theater that strikes me as good for the lead, that I can sort of work a deal with and they can be available. I mean, you cannot have a Hamlet without a good Hamlet. If you have a good Hamlet, you don't care about the rest of it.
Oh,
And if you don't have a good Hamlet, it probably doesn't matter who else is going to, bubble up to be great. And that's, excuse me, just the way Shakespeare did many of his plays. Some of them are much more ensemble, like Twelfth Night is much more ensemble, so that's not as critical. But even in As You Like It, if you don't have a good Rosalind, you're down for the count. Even though that's more ensemble, you still need a good leading lady. So some of it is about that. Like when I did Hamlet, actually, I knew Raphael was available and eager.
yes. We got pictures too. We're going to talk about
Yeah. When I did Romeo and Juliet was one of my first. And it probably suffered being one of my first. So that's one of the shows I'll probably remount. But Romeo and Juliet is quite ensemble in many ways. I mean, Romeo and Juliet obviously are the stars that we follow their story, but there's the subplot of the four boys who get into all the fighting and the killing. And then there's the nurse and Juliet and her family. And I had the cutest little couple to start that play off with. And casting is ultimately important. And then if I'm attracted to the play, now I'm looking at some of the lesser known pieces of Shakespeare's, although they're all known.
Right.
Because I've done about 12 of the canon so far. So I've hit all the big popular ones like Midsummer and Romeo and Juliet and Hamlet and Much Ado and Twelfth Night and As You Like. I mean, I've done all of them.
Have you thought about doing something with his sonnets?
We did that once. Zombie did that once. It's a little known fact about Zombie. He's actually very well versed in the Bard. So if you come to audition for Zombie and you're going to do a classical piece, say the lines as they're written, because he will probably know if you blow it. So he actually put together a sonnet evening, which we tried to loosely string into a play. It was a short run. It's a little trickier because you don't have the story. Shakespeare tells a great story. His yarns, like we traverse countries, we traverse armies, we traverse kingdoms. People are getting married, they're dying, they're in love, they're not in love, they're
like each other.
Yeah, they're battling. There's all kinds of things going on in every single Shakespeare play. Like he's the one writer, he has no fear about taking the audience on a journey. And I think that's his secret, is he's just this great storyteller. Absolutely. So the sonnets don't have that. So you've got to find other things.
Well, I was thinking your genius with music and your love of the musical theater, I would think you could somehow tie. I mean, I don't know, in the beginning of this pandemic, were you aware of what Patrick Stewart was doing? Every other day or so, he was actually reading a Shakespeare sonnet.
Yes,
and passing it around. And yes. I was listening. I've listened to all of them. Obviously, it's Patrick Stewart.
Yeah.
But I was like, this you could do a through line with some of these, and really make it, let audiences know what his sonnets are about. Because I don't think anyone knows.
We did Venus and Adonis, and actually it was successful. It's not that it wasn't successful, don't get me wrong. It's a great idea. I mean, maybe because I'm like stumped on exactly what my next Shakespeare is going to be. So that's actually a pretty cool idea, and maybe I'll start working on it now.
Absolutely. And I know it's going to be brilliant and great and funny, and just that you could cast several people to do different, anyway, it's your show. I want to see it.
I have to put all the stars of Zombie Joes on parade.
There you go. Showcase. Yeah. That'd be a nice little showcase.
Yeah, that's one thing.
Yeah. And by the way, I don't know if you noticed these wonderful pictures behind me. And of course, if people want to get a hold of you, you said to go to Zombie Joe's. This picture right here, what is this?
That looks like it's so I have a day job in a computer world, and
Oh,
that's their Christmas party.
oh, wow.
Yeah,
You look wonderful, beautiful.
thank you.
What about this one here? Remember this one?
Well, that's with my favorite reviewer and critic, Lorenzo, the Geek Authority.
Do you remember when we took this?
I can't see it too clearly, but I have long hair there, so probably a few years ago.
Yeah, it was the first time Zombie did the Halloween maze thing.
Oh,
You remember that?
yes, yes.
Everybody
Scary.
was in black, and you had the flashlights, and
Yes,
uh,
yes, we still do it that way. Yeah, and I
oh, you
stand
still.
out front. Yep.
Wow.
Well, it's classic. People come for the maze. I mean, they love the maze.
Oh
They
my!
want the maze.
And just for
And
your audiences who don't know, what happens is Zombie turns his theater into a literal maze where you walk through. It's dark. People at the front door, like Denise, will give you a flashlight, and that's all you have. So you need to shine your way through, and there are a few surprises and a little spooky and a little scary. And what's nice is when you get to the theater side, the back where the theater is, there's usually some form of presentation or a theatrical production. Nothing too long because remember you're doing the maze thing, and then you do the maze on the way out.
different.
Um,
Yep.
and usually, well, every year that I've gone, they've had the little kind of a little Halloween treats too, and you when you leave. So it's a fun experience. Now,
Yeah.
was that your brainchild or Zombies, or how did that come about?
It was Zombies and Janas.
Oh,
They wanted to do a Halloween show. We do our version of our Urban Death, and it was the maze was sort of an add-on. It was one of those like fortuitous things. How can we make this different or special? And Jana is a scenic artist as well, and Zombie's really good at visualizing different, which you can probably, he can really understand different or out of the box. So they came up with how to develop a maze because we have that huge lobby, but it's not huge if you're putting in a maze. Most people, but we make it so circuitous that people who've never seen the theater don't know how small it is because it takes you, well, some people it takes up to 20 minutes to get through that maze because they're so scared they won't move.
I stand behind Michael when we go through because I'm like I want him to get all the scares first. So
Yeah.
in the meantime, I'm looking around. So
Yeah.
um, it's a very visceral experience. I believe
Yes.
that's
Yes.
one of my reviews. I was like, if you really want to be involved,
Yeah.
it doesn't get better than this. So
Yeah.
okay, let's look at some of your fabulous productions. These are what you send me. There she is. There she is. Writer, director, producer, singer, dancer. She makes cookies too. Anyway, where where was this? This is, you said, Paris?
This was Paris at the Louvre, actually.
Really?
I think I'm standing in front of Venus or some famous statue. Yeah.
Oh, I don't see you. That's all you gave me. You didn't give me the Venus part. Anyway, here we go. This is probably one of the most amazing productions I've seen. Um, and Denise directed it, and I believe you adapted the script for the whole
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
So tell us.
Hamlet is, Raphael joined me in Romeo and Juliet. He played Mercutio, and he was absolutely wonderful. And normally he's a company member at A Noise Within, which is another really great classical company in Los Angeles. And so I approached him and said, if I did Hamlet, would you be interested? And he jumped at the chance. And a year later, we put it up. I did edit it. It's a 4-hour play. So we cut it down to an hour 50, which is all I could really cut out of it. And then we did that without an intermission, which was risky because that's a long time for an audience to sit, almost 2 hours. But it was successful. People loved it. Intermission.
He was amazing.
He was amazing. He was amazing. And that's Jonica, our other amazing actress, who played many, many parts in Hamlet. And it was an amazing experience. Everything came together. He's a dream to direct. So is she, by the way. Very,
She's a wonderful talent too.
oh, just our best. And joins me in a lot of the classicals if she's available. I have her secretly in mind for something, but I have to convince her.
What is it? What is it?
No, can't say.
Oh,
You'll
okay.
come. You'll come.
Shakespeare?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's this was just a dream production. And it was when I really first started a lot of what became my signature, because it was so long. I entrances and exits, I didn't, because you're wearing big costumes and all the rest of it. Or at least as big as I can make from the thrift store. We get creative at Zombie Joe's. And so I really, this was 2020, might be 2012. I think it was 2012.
Is he still, I mean, minus the pandemic, is he still
he's at A Noise Within. He always has been.
Okay. Wow. All right. Now this
Cthulhu. I loved Cthulhu.
Why did you love this?
This is like 2018. Cthulhu was a real challenge because Lovecraft, it's a story, it's a like a little short story. It's not a play. And so I had to make a play out of it. And so we did like a narration, and I incorporated some of Zombie's style for the beginning and then transitioned more into my style for the end. It's just a monster to do. Many people have tried to greater or lesser degrees of success. It's a true ensemble. There is no star. The star is this monster whom you don't see until the very end. It's just a threat. And it just presented a lot of technical difficulty, but it's so famous and such a wonderful story. And Lovecraft, he has a lot of, and you
made it very visual in terms of the content. Yeah. That's
it's just Medea. See, I love all my plays. That you said, what's my favorite? All of them. I just,
oh my God, yes.
One.
That's Jonica, right? That
starred Jonica. And I asked her if she would be interested, and she very fortunately said yes. And Medea is just, it's a hard story. I did cut it. It's a difficult play. It's Euripides. It's difficult because of the subject matter, and it's difficult because of the staging.
Wow. Very good makeup there too.
Went into Zombie Joe land. That's what I call it. Oh, Midsummer.
Midsummer. How fun.
This is one of my, I mean, I don't know. I had a dream cast here. I just loved this cast. As a whole, they were just.
I'm curious. On your graphics and illustrations in terms of promoting, I'm assuming these are all the postcards. Do you always choose? It seems like most of them are artwork versus the cast. Do you always lean toward the artwork, or? Actually,
to be honest, it's about 50-50. So Hamlet was cast. Then there's a bunch with artwork. It sort of depends on the cast, and it sort of depends on my feeling about the play. So Midsummer Dream is about love, dreamland. So it sort of needed like a couple, but I didn't want to put, there's a lot of lovers in Midsummer. So which one do you feature? Because there's a lot of lovers. So this one actually was artwork that we commissioned.
Wow, really nice.
Yeah, thank you.
Rod.
It's an original play. With Rod Roger. It was an original play by John Santo. I do a number of original plays. I did a playwright series at one point. And actually 2020 was going to be a series of original plays, hopefully with one of mine. But then this one was the only one we did because it went to like March 10th or something, and then we were closed. So there you have it. Yeah.
Romeo and Juliet.
There they are. This wasn't my first classical piece. Actually, was Tartuffe by Moliere, and it was a highly successful show. It won lots of awards and stuff. So this was number 2.
It's an interesting graphic with the nuclear explosion and two roses in the center. It's like I
That
wonder.
was that was mine, actually. I did this.
I was wonder what Shakespeare would say.
Yeah. It seemed it's that was mine. It seemed like everything is at the back because they get together. So and
No, I
as
mean,
you know,
when I looked at it, I'm like, oh, nice rose, and I realized where the roses are sitting, and I'm like, okay, okay. Oh, this is fun.
this is an original play, Last Men on Earth, and it's by Richard Nathan. I've done a few of his plays actually over the years. The first one I did was a spoof on Hamlet called Hamlet, Prince of Darkness, which is a fabulously funny vampire play on Hamlet. This one was about a nuclear holocaust and the aftermath. It's a comedy though, and it was very funny. I had a great cast. I love working with original plays. They're difficult because they've never been done. So until you try it with that audience the first time, you're never 100% what's going to work and what doesn't. But it's very exciting, and I love to nurture new writers and or even writers who aren't new, but a new piece, a new work. It's very exciting.
I'm just curious. What does the lady's legs? I don't know if they're ripped
Well,
off.
they're ripped off. It fits the play. The play is basically the aftermath of a nuclear explosion, and the two men that are left, which are the last men on Earth, try to put together a woman. So they grab body parts, and so that's what this represents. It's a very funny play. It's Twelfth Night.
Oh, 12th night.
Love Twelfth Night.
Music be the food of love. Play on. Oh my God. And I think the graphics actually represent the style that you bring to the productions. It's very unique, very original. So
Yeah.
oh, this is, I believe, the last one. As You Like It.
As You Like It stars one of my favorite younger actresses, Michaela Slezak. She played Rosalind. It's a wonderfully funny, spoofy play.
How would you describe it to someone who's never seen it?
What we did with it, or in general? As You Like It is basically it's kind of a free for all. It's an odd. It has its twists because the opening actually is very somber. So the tone changes immediately once the heroine runs off to the forest and dresses as a man. Shakespeare has a recurring theme of men dressing as women, which is in Shakespeare's time was a man dressing as a woman dressing as a man, if you know. So
absolutely.
Yeah, so it was a lot of double entendre. They must have had a great time. But Rosalind spends most of the play dressed as a man, as a young man, and falls in love with another young man. And I think there's just a lot of stuff like Shakespeare was very ahead of his time in the way that he could introduce topics that have been, topics forever.
Right. And in his time, women weren't allowed to do theater. Right?
Women were not allowed to do theater, and men were not allowed to love men. So there was a lot of not allowed. And
which makes for great writing material.
Yeah, well, and Shakespeare did that. And it was, and did it successfully. I mean, I guess other people probably did the same thing, but Shakespeare also made it endearing so that your heart could open to new ideas.
Exactly.
Like
okay, we talked a lot about your theater and Zombie Joe's theater. I call it your theater too because it's.
I've been there for 20 years.
And this is the website. I'm actually on the website. So looks like you've got something going on for the holidays, 2020.
We have a Zoom show.
But do you have is there kind of an archival of the shows you've done on the site?
I'm not sure. The Kern is our webmaster, and I don't know where he's put some of that stuff, and I'm not sure it's there anymore right now.
Right, okay.
Archival. He used to have a whole archive, but people tended to get confused as to what what the show was that
You
they were
mean,
supposed to click on and buy a ticket.
oh, you
It
mean the
used
shows that were running versus the shows that are past?
Yeah, in the past, right. And we usually have so much going on. I mean, we'll run 2 or 3 shows at a time, all the time. So,
Right.
um,
My only thing is when you get a really good show, and you've had some really good ones, some of them have a really short run.
yeah, I
And
know.
is that because of the actor schedule, or you just do it that way?
Each one, it's a case by case, but partly it's our ethic. We don't run them very long.
Okay.
But uh, partly it is also actor schedule. It's much easier to get actors committed to the theater. Remember, it's a film town. So even Zombie Joe's, like everybody else, we all in live performances, we're under the bucket, if you will, of the film, and that always takes precedence.
Okay.
Um,
All right.
so it is easier for a 4-week run with actors. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Now you've been obviously been doing this a while, and I've seen a lot of your work. So somebody's watching this right now. Say it's a young person or person who's maybe retired or whatever. They want to go into live theater, which there's a lot of it. Well, there used to be a lot of it, and hopefully the pandemic
Yeah.
will pass. But what would you say to someone who's considering doing what you've done, say dancing or acting or writing, producing, and then of course directing? What advice would you give somebody?
Advice.
Uh-oh.
Um, I guess mainly the advice is don't do it unless you can't do anything else. Like most of us are drawn to it. Well, sometimes, I mean, a lot of people have to do their first show to know if they're drawn to it. So if you've never done a show, it's a great way to learn about collaboration and deadlines and what it takes to put on a show, which can be those skill sets are valuable everywhere. How to get along in a group, how to do your part, but not everyone's part. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of good that way. But to continue in the theater, you need to, in LA especially, it has to be because you just can't do anything else. You know
Wow.
what I mean? Like there has to be a draw and a love to it because um and the payoff has to be other than financial. Few of us make like a good living. I mean, I've made a living, but not a good living. Um, Good being, where you can like buy a house and do those kinds of things.
Right.
So, I mean, some people do, but it's rare. Mostly we're there for the love of it. And
I'm curious. Have you ever thought about going back to New York, which used to be, the hub of theater?
we were in New York, ZJU, twice actually. We did okay. It's so very expensive there. It was prohibitive for
Cost of living?
so cost of living, cost of theater productions. So one of the things I've always loved about ZJU and my involvement with ZJU is the ethic. We don't charge $200 for a ticket. We charge 15. It might go up to 20 in the new after the pandemic, but we don't charge these enormous ticket prices where other theaters start at $35 or $40. It's a lot of money. And we want theater to be accessible. And so New York, and I don't mean this, and I go to New York when there's not a pandemic. I go to New York once or twice a year myself to do theater jaunts. I love it. I've always loved it. I usually have seen everything on Broadway each season because I'll go and see 4 or 5 shows at a time. And if you go twice a year, you've seen everything. So I adore it, and I live for it. And I'm happy that Zombie has stuck to his ethic of making theater accessible to everyone and making it something where the ticket price isn't what prevents you from going.
Exactly. Uh, it is great. Even out here, the Amazon
Oh,
and
well, yeah, they charge, and if it's, they charge a lot of money. It's a lot of money, so it becomes like a choice that you have to make, and
groceries or the theater.
right, right, that kind of thing. I mean, not everyone can afford, because if you go as a couple and you have, like even car and parking, gas and parking, you're looking at like over $100. So to me, that's a lot of money.
Right.
Uh,
It is.
you know,
Wow. Okay, I'm curious. So basically, your advice is just make sure you love it and do it because you love it,
yeah.
and learn from it at the very least. Um,
And it'll be great. And then you'll have a great time because your expectations are in the things that you do have control over, whether the play will be successful or whether you'll make any money at it, or, a lot of these things are beyond our control. But if we're there because we're happy to be there, then we can do that,
right, and
achieve.
it's hard work. Whether you're the director, producer, actor, you're sitting at the computer writing. It's hard work.
It's like hard work. Yes, it is.
It is.
A lot of people
Okay.
aren't, yeah, they don't get that. Like you have to spend time memorizing lines.
Okay. I've done this. I've done this with a lot of my guests that I've interviewed or talked to. I want to ask you, like personal, in terms of what your likes and dislikes, not with Zombie Joe Theater or whatever. So, like for example, if I asked you, what would you say is your favorite musical? What would you say? And it could be current or past or.
My favorite musical is probably West Side Story. However, Fiddler is up there. And I saw an absolutely hysterical one. What was the Mormon show? What was it
Oh,
called?
the
Yeah,
Book of Mormon. The Book of Mormon.
Mormon. I saw it on Broadway and I laughed so hard I could barely breathe. I mean, I wanted them to stop for a minute so we could breathe.
Did you see with Josh Gad? He was the lead.
I can't remember. I don't think I saw the stars because I saw it, after it'd been running for a year or two. But and it's a musical. So my favorite one is probably the one that's good and playing in front of me. But I do have, I will watch West Side Story over and over again. I will also watch Fiddler on the Roof over and over again. And I've seen Gypsy Rose Lee probably
Have you heard Steven Spielberg's remaking West Side Story?
I did not hear that. Oh my God. As a musical?
As a musical.
I will stand in line.
They've asked Rita Moreno to be in it as another character.
Yeah.
Because most of them are no longer with us.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I'm curious to see how he would handle it. But
yeah.
I don't know if you can come close to Robert Weiss's production or even
that was a brilliant. It's a brilliant, brilliant film.
Okay, what would you say is your favorite comedy? Uh-oh.
I have so many. So I love A Midsummer Night's Dream.
I knew we were going to go Shakespeare.
But but it's only funny if the actors get the funny. So probably like it's not considered a comedy, but Maggie Smith in Downton Abbey was hysterical. I mean, I watched that show to watch her because she cracked me up every single time. So I like funny people, I guess, maybe more.
Yeah, my range is I don't know if you ever saw Noises Off.
It's great. Yeah.
Or any of the Neil Simons, Goodbye Girl, Odd Couple.
Saw them all. Saw them. So my passion, a lot of people don't know this because they think of Shakespeare as not this, but I adore slapstick. People falling on the floor and throwing pies, and I love it. And so I do that.
And I think the modern version of that is like a Jim Carrey film. I mean, when he was at his stride.
Yeah.
I think that kind of thing. I mean, for some reason, we as humans like to laugh when people get hurt. I have no idea why.
I have no idea why, but it will make me laugh. Yeah.
Okay, how about a drama? We touched the drama category.
So I love drama. I don't know why. I just do.
I do.
So I guess the first drama, and I read it actually, was A Streetcar Named Desire. It's just one of the most beautiful plays ever. And it's very sad and it's very touching. And again, it's about topics that are normally, especially in the time, not written about or not written about, in quite, you know, with poignancy.
Right.
Um,
See, you mentioned that one of my favorite plays that does that. You ever see 12 Angry Men?
no, I have not. I'm
Oh,
probably the only human being I know that hasn't. I know.
oh my God! It talk about controversy and topics of the time, and
Yep.
uh, it's one of
I,
my.
I love all the dramas, and so I watch them. And
Okay, well, what would you say is your favorite Shakespeare drama? For me, I think Hamlet is probably hits it on the mark.
probably Hamlet and Romeo and Juliet. Though both have funny parts, they both end very tragically. I cry every time at the. I mean, I felt so. My poor actor playing Romeo when he discovers Juliet dead and he let out like a sort of a low bellow, and my heart broke every single night I watched it. I was like, oh, I'm so sorry, Robert. But Hamlet, I love Hamlet. I love Hamlet for the adventure. Actually, it's a big adventure story as well as
It's a ghost story too.
it's a ghost story. It's a lot of things, which is why it's so popular. For the Shakespeare's, I don't know. They're all good.
Yeah.
Maybe Romeo and Juliet, maybe Hamlet. Those are my two top faves. But that's not too. I loved Richard III. You know what I loved about Richard III? I did a whole lot of research when I did that play, because he was so bad and so mean as Shakespeare wrote him. And so I did research, and it was the first time I went, kind of glad I'm not a royal in those days.
Wow. Yeah.
He grew up with Lady Anne, as it turns out, in the real world. The real Richard III grew up with Lady Anne, and they were friends. And then they were like torn apart because she was like more or less sold off to go marry somebody else, and so was he. I mean, he was a victorious hero, battling like a warrior at 17.
Really? Wow.
Yes. Like I was reading this stuff going, where's that in the play? Shakespeare had a different plan, but the real Richard III was quite the warrior and young, like young. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Totally serious.
Wow.
But can you imagine that kind of life? And then you come home to whatever you come home to. It was eye-opening. Anyway, just piece of history.
Very cool. Well, like I said, I particularly love live theater, and when this pandemic hit, it's just changed everything.
Yeah.
The whole experience of going out, even movies, going to a movie. I'm like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, streaming has boomed.
Yes.
Zoom has boomed. I mean, it's just
here we are.
We've adapted. So it seems like even theater, several people I've talked to, they're doing Zoom productions and Zoom recordings and live Zoom things. So, and I understand too that even Zombie has Zoom several productions now, right? Or
He's streamed one, and that was very exciting because it was almost live. I mean, the streaming was live, but it was still streamed. There was no audience involved. He's doing his first real Zoom show at Christmas, and it's a one-man. He's going to play Jacob Marley from A Christmas Carol, which he did. I edited and directed that play a couple of times now for Zombie Joe's, and he played Jacob Marley. He was fabulous. He's going to be fabulous. So come out.
Well, I remember him too. He was in a production of Christmas Carol. Didn't he play was it the Undertaker? Or
he did.
He did that. I still tease him to this day. He does this, and it was hysterical. It was hysterical. He's one of those guys that can adapt to anything, and and obviously with you directing him, what could go wrong?
No, I'm not directing him. I'm not on this project. I might make a guest appearance because I was in that show as the three ghosts. So I might make a guest appearance, but that's still up in the air.
Okay, I'm curious, as we wrap this up, are there any projects or things that you haven't done yet that you're still thinking about, or you wish you would eventually?
Lots of them.
Oh, really?
I mean, because I think in the theater, there's I mean, that's what you do is like, I love all the plays that I've done, and I'm equally in love with all the plays that I will do. It's an odd place to sit, but it's nevertheless true. Like, I can't wait to
Well, and
direct the next piece.
right. Are you, I mean, for example, are you like, have you always wanted to play Evita, or have you always wanted to direct?
So I don't have that. What I have more is I'd love to direct a big musical, just because I grew up in musicals, and so I'd love to try a big musical, and I'd love to direct. Oh, I don't. I wouldn't mind directing one of my pieces. So I've written a number of pieces. I've actually directed them before too, but mostly they're short plays. I'd like to direct a fuller length play of mine. And I'd like to direct, I don't know, almost anything. If I'm attracted to a play, the sparks fly and I'm in love.
Right.
It's just hard to, like, I'm just in
Every,
love. I love the actors.
everything's your little baby. And
That's right. It is. And I, and that's my life. That and Zombie are my life. Until that play ends, really, because I go with the play to the end, unlike most directors who leave after opening night. But we're hands-on at our theater, and we nurture and care right to the very end. That's just the other thing that I really love about Zombie.
That's one of the things I've heard about directors. Their job ends opening night.
Right. They usually, technically, and they usually come back once or twice in a run to check up, but the stage manager will take over after. And I can't lose my baby then. Not that I direct after opening night, because I don't. If I do have a note, I ask permission first. And I truly am totally fine if they say, can you not? I'm trying to work this out myself. I mean, no one really, only like over the hundreds of actors that I've directed, only one or two of, most actors are like, notes, yes, please, we want to grow, we want to, but it has happened, and I'm totally fine with it. I'm totally fine with it. Everybody has a different process, and opening night, my job is technically done.
Right. Wow. And then, well, actually, after you hear the applause and the whistles and the hoots, that's when I think you should go home. The end. But anyway, okay. Well, listen, Denise, this was amazing. This was so much fun. You're an amazing talent. If you guys haven't heard of Zombie Joe's Theater, you need to go check it out. The information, the website, I'll put below. Any questions or comments? If I can answer them, I will answer them. If not, I will forward them to Denise. I'm sure she'll be happy to respond. And the website is where they keep up with all what's going on.
All the current stuff. So yeah, come see Zombie be the ghost of Jacob Marley in A Christmas Carol. It's going to be fun. It's a little bit of an interactive Zoom show. We are doing Zoom, by the way, only under duress, because we're a live theater place. So, but the creative juices spark. I'm writing something, so he's going to do a Zoom show and I'm writing. That's how we're trying to like keep our thing happening during this pandemic. And
yeah, absolutely. And the fun too. I mean, you guys want to make theater.
Yeah.
That's very cool. So again, I want to thank you. You're charming, you're beautiful, you're funny, you're an amazing talent. People, if you get a chance, go see him.
Can you be my brother now? Can you be my family?
I'm there. I'm there for you. So you and Zombie. Zombie's just adorable and wonderful.
Yeah.
And so huggable. Anyway, but not yet. No hugging yet.
No hugging yet.
But anyway, thanks again, everyone, for watching the show. Make sure, if you haven't hit the subscribe button, hit the subscribe button as well. If there's a little bell, you click that, and an email will go out every time I drop a video. I've got 4 other shows. I don't know if you've caught them. I have Unboxing the Geek Authority, where I actually open up new stuff, new product for the first time. I see it, you see it for the first time. I have the Mysterious Chamber of Collectibles, where I actually go under my bed, look in my closet, and I pull out stuff that I've been collecting for years, and you get to see what has been out there or whatnot. And then I have another show called Talk About, where family and friends get together and we talk about different subjects or TV shows. Examples include the new Cobra Kai series and a 3-part series on the closing of Disneyland and California Adventure. Kind of heartfelt and really wonderful show about, we don't appreciate things until we don't have them anymore. And that's it. So again, Denise, it was great fun. I thank you so much for doing this.
Thanks, Lorenzo. I love you.
I love,
You're so great.
I love your warm winter background. I feel so cozy. I'm going to have some hot chocolate. But anyway, thank you again. And let's say bye to everybody. Thanks for coming. Thanks for watching.
Bye. Thanks for coming. Stay safe. Stay warm. Bye.
And listen to her. Okay. Listen to her. Bye-bye.